Now are we recording? I think we are. Let me double check though. I reorganized all of the icons on my phone, and so I'm struggling with trying to do that. Alright, let's do this. Words are hard. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everybody. I meant to stream yesterday, but so we've been watching our friend's dog, and it is an elderly dog, and he had a very rough Tuesday night, I think. Anyway, and so because of that, like everything was kind of messed up all week, and then yesterday I managed to sleep in late, like real late, like late enough that I couldn't take my ADHD meds or they would keep me up all night. So I just kind of existed yesterday, which was really cool actually, because then today I got like to sleep in again, and I had that moment of feeling like, oh, I'm so rested. I feel kind of like drunk with rest. Um, okay, but I wanted to talk about cool stuff that happened last week, because like we were on the stream, and at the end of it, if you remember, I started like trying to delete things and it would crash, right? And we did some kind of tests to figure out what was going on, and I thought it was me. Turns out it was not me. I ended up losing all of the work that we did last week during the stream, though, and I had to rebuild some of it. So if you happen to notice like something that isn't the same as it was last week, that's because I had to rebuild it. Sometimes it's easier to rebuild if things go wrong, and sometimes it's easier to try and like recover that data. For me, for what we did last week, it was much easier to just rebuild it. But then we identified like we had a bad check-in that was causing it to crash, but one of the things about making games is anytime before you check in, you should test your changes, right? Like you should run and play the game and make sure it works before you check in. Especially if you're going to check in before like a weekend or holiday break or something like that. You want to make sure you're giving good data to the rest of the team. Well, one of the weird things about what was going on is it wasn't causing the game to crash. It was just when you would delete an actor that it would cause it to crash. And so that's one of those things that's really hard to notice when you're working, or even when you test, because unless you think, oh, well, hey, let me check and make sure I can delete something, like that's not something you're going to normally check. But after a couple hours last Friday, we were able to identify the change list that had gone bad. And so, I've talked about this a little bit, but this is Perforce, right? And if you look at it, like you can see the revisions, right? And you can go back and you can right click on one and say, hey, sync to this revision. And what Perforce is doing is pretty much just keeping copies of what the game was at that moment, right? So being able to roll back to that revision and say, okay, we know this one was good. That's why a lot of times you'll hear game developers talk about last known good. And they're literally talking about revisions or builds of the game, right? And that was the last known good. So we were able to roll back just fine. At most, we realized at most we were going to lose like a day of work, which is a bummer, right? Don't get me wrong, it is a bummer. But boy, it sure is nicer to only lose a day of work than like months, right? And so that's why you use Perforce. That's why you use source control, because it allows you to move back if you need to. So I had to redo a little bit of work. That's fine. That's not the first time that's happened. One of the really funny things about having to redo work is often it will take you less time the second time you do it. And so for an example of this, when I was because I went to the Guildhall. That was the graduate school I went to where I learned how to make video games. Although I'd already started learning because I'd been making mods. But we had a final in our level design class at one point where we had to pretty much the Guildhall at the time was kind of in weird chunks. It wasn't quite semesters. So they did like 3-month semesters, and the first one was kind of the intro semester, right? And part of it you would do a team game project. And so you spent 3 months making a game with two other people. And it was a little 2D game, and we had a program we were using called Scrolling Game Development Kit, which I do not recommend using. It's possible for it to crash and corrupt its own executable. So you literally have to reinstall your editor to be able to continue working. And part of the reason the Guildhall had us using this nightmare of a program was to teach us to make backups and to teach us that your tools are not always going to work the way you expect them to, and how to deal with that, right? Like, how do you, adjust your workflow and your processes to make sure that you're taking into account that your tools might just suck. So my final, that first semester in my level design class, was to build a 5 to 15 minute 2D platformer. It was literally the exact same task we had been given for our team game project, but as a final, and we only had 3 hours to do it. So we're using this scrolling game development kit. I'm about an hour and 15 minutes into the final, and it crashes and it corrupts its own executable. Fortunately, I had been copying my stuff out, but I lost 40 minutes of work, right? Which isn't that big of a deal unless you realize it's a 3-hour final, right? So here I am at the front of my class. I think there was 20 people in our class. And I'm just having a meltdown, right? I am just legitimately oh my god, I just fucking lost an hour of work. It was awful, just freaking out. And it was really funny because as I started having the meltdown and realizing it had corrupted its own executable, you could hear everyone else in the class save, copy over to a different file, right? Because it would sometimes corrupt your game files too, which is what it did to me. So about an hour and a half into a 3-hour final, I realized I had nothing. It was just completely wiped. And so I pretty much had to start fresh halfway through the final, but still theoretically completed on time. So I had spent about an hour and 15 minutes working on it, right? Took about 15 minutes to realize it was all bad and I needed to reinstall and wipe everything, right? At that point, I said, fuck it, I'm just gonna start fresh. What I finished, and I did finish, I actually did finish in the hour and a half I had left, but what I finished was better. It was a better game. It was better gameplay than what I had built the first time. And it's one of those things where once you've done it, it's faster to do it the second time. And it's kind of a weird, you can almost calculate how much you're speeding up doing it over and over again. If you think about it, it's like an artist sketching, right? It's part of the reason I started actually doing this originally was because I wanted to build up my level design skills more than what they already were, because that's my deep part, right? So you think about that T-shaped individual thing, right? The idea that you've got general knowledge on a bunch of stuff, but then there's something you go really deep on, and that's level design for me. So yeah, always use Perforce because it will save your ass. It will. And it did for us. I guess Perforce is my chosen brand, but you can also, do CVN or SVN or that kind of thing. There's a bunch of different source control solutions, but I prefer Perforce. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my mic. I took my headphones with us on vacation, and so my mic was rolled up the whole time, so it's not wanting to stay in its proper place. I also had to replace the ear cups on these headphones. So they had gotten damaged and one of them had fallen off. So I had to get replacement ear cuffs. They're awful. These are the cheap ones from Amazon. They are not at all the same. They're so much harder. The fabric on them is awful. So I'm gonna have to go to SteelSeries site and buy the replacement from SteelSeries. But yeah, I was just gonna. I love my SteelSeries Arctis 7. The ear cups lasted, 6 or 7 years before and it was funny because it was the plastic that holds it on there that gave way, right? It wasn't the actual ear cup itself. It was the little part that holds it on. But yeah. Also, if SteelSeries wants to send me free ear cups for talking about it on a stream, go ahead. But they already gave me a whole bunch. Was it 2011? 2010. I had just gotten the job at Toys for Bob. I was working on Skylanders. I was really excited, and I get this phone call one day, and I was standing in line to do my jury duty, and I get this phone call, and the guy's like, "Hey, you are our grand prize winner for the sweepstakes for World of Warcraft or something." And I was like, "You're not getting my account number," and I hung up on the guy. I'm literally standing in line to go into the room to find out if I'm getting picked for jury duty. So my phone rings again, and the guy's like, "Please don't hang up." He's like, "I'm not kidding. You entered a SteelSeries sweepstakes to win a trip to BlizzCon, right?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "You're our grand prize winner. You won the trip to BlizzCon, and I need to get some information, just your address, just like this." He's like, "I need to get a couple of pieces of information so we can send you and contact you and get all the stuff we need for like taxes and everything. Because if you win a sweepstakes, you still have to pay taxes on it." And so I'm sitting here going, "Are you fucking kidding me? Did I actually win the trip to BlizzCon?" And he was like, "Yes." And so like a month before, I had just gotten the new job at TFB on Skylanders. And then I won the grand prize trip to BlizzCon, right? Flight, hotel, tickets. They actually took me around all the partner booths that they were with, and they gave us the VIP treatment, which means I got a bunch of free stuff from Jinx, which was great because I loved Jinx. They actually have some of the best customer service. Anyway, and so it was really cool, like getting to have that experience. But I totally didn't believe the guy at first. But fortunately for me, he did not give up on me. He called me back. His name was Adam. Thank you, Adam. Thank you. But I also got a whole bunch of SteelSeries stuff, which is part of the reason why, like, whenever my old headphones had died, I looked at SteelSeries first. I actually super duper love their Cataclysm mouse. I don't like their new one, but okay. I'm gonna buy it anyway because it has a mini pet with it. But so yeah, so I made the joke of like, SteelSeries, send me stuff, but you don't have to. You've already given me so much. Oh gosh, it keeps redlining when I laugh, and I don't like that. Oh. Anyway, so yeah, cool. So Ghost Game. We're getting a lot of work done on it. Getting some really cool stuff done in here. Yeah. We've been playing a lot with textures. Oh, I wanted to remind everyone about the I gotta find it because I've already purchased it. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. They did the Discworld Encore. Okay, if you've never read Discworld, you should absolutely read Discworld. I had never read Discworld. I love reading though, as evidenced. But Discworld is great. I am obsessed. I'm in the middle. I started with Guards, and I'm in the middle of the Fifth Elephant, which is amazing. But this is a bundle. It's like all of the books. It's so cheap. You should absolutely get it. But that's not what we came here for. We came here for this one, the Daikugan Townscape Essentials. So I've actually already purchased this. I don't get this. But these are the people whose asset packs we bought. We spent like $700 on their asset packs before this bundle. And this bundle has some of the stuff, but it also has some of the stuff we missed. So like these are the rugs that you've seen me using. We already had the interior decor one, which is, neat. Oh, the knick-knack one. So many cool little things. The retro furniture. I think I had skipped the around the house one, so I'm really excited that we're going to have that now. Yeah, but each of these packs are worth it at their like normal cost. So the fact that you can get all of them, there are 52 for $25, it's a heist. It's a heist. These are totally worth like 15, 20, 30, 35 a piece, and you're getting all of them for that price. Oh, so good. It's so good. But if you're gonna make a game, and if you need a bunch of art that just kind of works, it's not gonna be the best because everybody's art kind of is gonna need different things and that kind of stuff. Like it kind of. But if you just need something to work with for a while, this is it. This is definitely the stuff. Oh man. I just noticed it's got the bedroom and the sofas one, and I don't even know if we have those activated on our thing yet. Oh gosh. Anyway, yeah. So it's only going on for 4 more days. You should absolutely snag it. It's worth it. It's absolutely worth it. Okay. Let's see. So we mentioned Dacon. Cool. All right. Cool. Now we can get to work. Okay, so the last time we were kind of going down this hallway, we were building the teachers' offices. Again, things might be a little different than what we saw on the stream last time because I had to rebuild it all. But there was a rug in here, and I think I do want to add a rug back in here. The floor just kind of gets a little boring if you don't have rugs. So if we go all the way back up here. I mean, like, these are the ones we straight up purchased from them from the very beginning. Hollywood pack. Like, oh, it's so good. Yeah. Okay, let's just go to all and go to rug. Static mesh. Cool. And I'm not too picky about my rugs. Let's see. Oh, nope. E? There we go. I am still working at learning the hotkeys. They have been very useful. I actually was using them at work, and I noticed it was super helpful to have it at work. So I feel pretty good about having it. I feel pretty good about how I'm doing about getting used to using the hotkeys. It was funny, I told the guy at my work, I was like, yeah, you were moving so fast, and I was kind of jealous, so I started learning how to use hotkeys, and he was just like, what? Yeah, okay, alright, so cool. There's our office. It's a little different, but it looks nice, okay. I don't want to do the kitchen yet. Actually, I might want to do the kitchen. Because I started doing that. Oh, those are clipping into the wall. They should not be. Because I made them all fat, didn't I? I did. Focus. Okay, those are a little bit away from the wall. That's fine. Cool. Alright, so we have a kitchen. So kitchens can be really challenging. Because the kitchen is kind of it's one of those things when you think about, I talk a lot about making sure the place makes sense, right? It's logical. It has an internal consistency. It doesn't have to be realistic. It has to be internally consistent. But kitchens are one of those weird things that kind of, when they appear... Oh, I guess my autosave is working now. When they appear in places that aren't homes, they're different, and it's really funny when you think about it in terms of your lizard brain, right? Like that unaware, that subconscious part of your brain that's looking at things. It will fill in things that are missing. is a really cool thing. So I always talk about the example of, whenever I worked on a VR thing and we were building the interior of a car, and so that whenever you put on the headset, you're sitting on the inside of a car. We didn't have a rear view mirror, and nobody noticed. We didn't have it because we didn't want to have to mirror it. We didn't have to have a mirror. But nobody noticed. We would ask people after having done the simulation, did you see anything wrong? Like, was there anything wrong with the car? And 100% of the responses was, no, car looked great. Like, so it's worth remembering, like, players' brains will fill in things. And that's okay. That's cool. We're actually counting on that. That's exciting for us. As game developers, it means less work, right? But the problem is whenever we don't want the player's brain to fill in things, right? We want them to feel that it's different than what they would expect. So when we do that, we have to be a little more precise than we would be normally, because we want them to think about this location being different. And kitchens, everyone kind of has their perception of what a kitchen is. And it's pretty universal. And so whenever it's different, you don't want them filling in things, because we want them to notice that this kitchen is not a normal kitchen. So it's a little challenging, but that's okay. We can do it. It's just it's a lot of thinking about it in terms of what is the feeling we want them walking away with. So, I just happen to know a lot about this kitchen. Oh, they probably do them with blueprints to put all the pieces in place. Yep, there they are. So when you start seeing them and they don't have like the doors on them and the doors are a separate piece, always look for a blueprint, because that usually means they're using the construction aspect of the blueprint to put the kitchen set together. Okay. This kitchen is also really small and was really small in real life, so that is cool. Boop. And then, I want this one. Slide the phone over. I think there was a stool there. I don't remember exactly. But I'm gonna keep looking at the kitchen stuff. Oh wait, there was one with a sink. We do need one with a sink. Because there was a sink. It just wasn't very good. Notice how it doesn't have any faces on the back, so it's nice, and they're trying to be nice and efficient with their faces, with their poly counts, which is good. It's good. That's why I like these guys. These people, there should probably be at least a few women at their studio. Okay. We will not have an island. Oh my gosh, they have pots and pans and everything. That's exciting. That claims to be a microwave, but gosh, that is a giant microwave. Right? It's like the size of an oven. Oh gosh. Knife stand. I love having the knife stand. I also super love that they modeled it with a knife missing. Perfect. One of the things you'll hear me talk a lot about is how working with your environmental artists is just so valuable, right? And one of the reasons is if you work really closely with your environmental artists, they'll help you tell stories that you don't have to use text for, right? So having a knife block with a knife missing is immediately like, people are going to notice that, and people are going to be like, hold up, there's a knife missing. And it creates that sense of tension in the player's head without you having to do any of that work. Amazing. I love it so much. Okay. I think a bunch of our stoves got messed up. Let's see. Oh, that looks like butt. For our game. If this was a low poly game, it would be fine. Okay, fine. I think I'm just gonna use this one, even though it's not the right look for this, if we were doing this to reality. So W is widget. R is scale, although I feel like it should be rotation. Okay, so, alright, we need a refrigerator. It's a word I cannot spell. Oh, we have 2. Okay, let's see if fridge brings up anything else. Oh, there is a fridge. There's a mini fridge. Oh, we should absolutely put mini fridges in somebody's office. No, you weren't the asshole who would have had a mini fridge. You were, though. Oop. It is really funny whenever I talk to people about like level design, and I'll say stuff about how, yeah, there's like a stage of the job that is just being like playing Sims and decorating a house. It's really cool. Okay, we got a mini fridge. I think we're gonna have to go with this one. Although, one of the things I would like to have be true, let's play from here. Okay. Alright, so bunch of errors. It's fine. Okay, so what I want to do though is I want to look at the blueprint for this, because one of the compelling things about Ghost Game is that ability to go through and like interact with stuff, right? Open doors, dig through drawers, that kind of thing. So, okay, so we're putting it all together, but we're not actually having any of it be interactable. Okay, so let's see if we can add our interaction component. Alright, and then can interact set to true. So I'm noticing, if you'll notice right here, it says hold E to pick up, press E to interact. That's how the system is currently set up, because it's thinking about is things you're picking up. It's not thinking about things you're just like clicking on. So I'm actually going to open our Discord where we're tracking everything. And then in Ghost Design, I'm going to say task add task. Have interact be have interact checkbox for not picking up, just opening. Okay, so then what I want to do on our interaction, we hit this button. Alright, so now we can tell, oh, I can just tie it off a was long press. Nice, nice. I love it when they build it in ways that make sense. Okay, I say they, when my husband builds things in ways that make sense. Okay, so what we can do then is we can actually say, like, so when they interact through the component, so they're clicking on E, we can set it to rotate the doors open and then rotate them back. I don't want to do that right now, but I'm I'm going to add a comment right here. Always comment your code. I want to hook this up to open the doors so we can be snoopy. Okay. Always help future you. Okay, so this fridge looks really cool, but it is open, just like normally. Wow, did they delete the standard nodes? I think they did. There's nothing happening in the construction script. Okay, so let me see if I can select. Haha. Okay, so what I did, so they used the blueprint to build the item, right? To put the doors on. Boom. And then the refrigerator is clearly 3 pieces, right? We've got a door, the back box, and then the freezer door. And then the way that they made them open, see how the bottom door's open? So if we look at the bottom door here, you see it's got a rotation on it. So I literally just came in and hit 0. Ta-da! Door's closed. Okay, so we save. But that's also really cool because that means we could do the same thing we would do on the cabinets. We can do that to the refrigerator, so you can open up the fridge and look at it. Okay, so we're ready to move forward. Sweet. Alright, so I'm gonna select all of this, slide it down, I'm gonna select this, slide it down to like, actually, you know what I want to do? I want it to be full fridge width, because that's about how much it was. Okay. Another thing that's really interesting about kitchens is, hello, Artie! Hi! Thanks for joining me! I was gonna say, one of the other things about kitchens is theoretically the kitchen counter height should be at the height of the person who's gonna use it. Now, obviously, we don't build bespoke kitchens anymore, but it is also really frustrating because normal standard kitchen counters assume that the person using them is between 5'8" and 5'10", which is funny because the average height of the American woman is like 5'4". Ooh, Deadlock. Are you enjoying Deadlock? I've heard some people are really enjoying it. Yeah. So are you saying I get a backache using the sink in our kitchen? Absolutely a thing. It's absolutely a thing because most modern kitchens are built for much taller women than the US has. Um, and so any guys who are shorter than like 5'8" are also going to have that same issue. And it's really weird and it's really funny because like the kitchen is theoretically the woman's domain, but it's not actually built for women, which is ridiculous. Um, oh, deadlock. Okay, yeah, I'm always really excited about games that are coming out. But this kitchen was like especially egregious, right? Because if you think about it, the counter height is really annoying, and can be very exhausting. Like if you cook a lot or prep food a lot. But even worse is the upper cabinets, right? They're so tall and they're always so high up there, and it tends to be very difficult for someone who is, regular height, to be able to use these super tall cabinets. So it's kind of frustrating. Yeah. Oh, you're 6 foot and have to half bend down to wash your hands. Yeah. Um, so one of my family members, they have this amazing, beautiful kitchen. Um, so they have the kitchen, the main like line of counters and everything, and then there's another line of counters like this, and then they have a kitchen island. And on the island, they have a sink. And so there's two sinks in the kitchen. They're literally right across from each other. And I remember having the thought of, wow, that seems like really weird. Like, why would you? But we were having Thanksgiving at their house, and it was amazing because even though like people were cooking, there was always a sink open. But yeah, gosh, I can't even imagine trying to use some stuff at like 6 foot tall. Like that's got to be a lot. It's really hard. I mean, I'm the short person. I get to experience it all as being the short person. I think I'm gonna do something, which I probably should not do, but I'm gonna do it. Interaction component. Okay, that's how we want it. Because we were seeing the box that's actually just kind of like part of the interaction component, and we don't want to see that when we're building. So by removing it, we've just made it invisible. It's still there. It's still doing what it's doing. We just can't see it anymore. Oh my gosh, so one of my very dear friends is like, I think he's like 6'2", 6'3". He's real tall. And so it is pretty funny when we'll go do stuff and we'll go like, ghost tours and everything. And he comes with us and he's so tall, and so like he has to duck. We live in Sacramento, so there's all this like undercity thing, because at one point they actually like raised the whole city like 10 feet or something. And so we went on one of the tours that takes you down into the old like tunnels that were created whenever they raised the street level. But they're only like barely 6 foot tall like spaces, and so he was just like having to crouch the whole time. Yes, ghost tours are my favorite thing. It's really cool because there's kind of a bunch of different kinds, but I really like whenever I go somewhere new doing the ghost tour, because you learn a lot of history very, very quickly. I did I didn't do any ghost tours in England. I did a ghost tour in Edinburgh though. And it was like all the like down by the castle section of Edinburgh. Like it was the like super old like touristy area, but it was really cool. Um, yeah, yeah, it was so cool. And the guy that did it was just he clearly cared so much about it, and so he really like just went 110% in, and it was fantastic. Yeah, yeah. uh, yeah, ghost tours is probably one of my favorite things to do, which is, I mean, that's why I wanted to build a ghost game. Because it's just so neat. It's so fun, getting to walk around and experience these things. I think I'm going to, because I added the component there, I think I'm going to go ahead and add the component here. even though we're not using it, because I want it to be on everything that we're using it on. Oh, I do need to edit. No, that was not the right thing to do. Let's undo. Yeah, it's valid. Okay, let me edit the blueprint for this. Let's add it here. Interaction component. But file save. What I actually want to do is open up the interaction component. Okay, so then let's go down, no visible. Can I save that? Ooh, I think I can. Nice. Alright, so we've got like half a kitchen here. Okay. Boop. So important things to think about when you're thinking about a kitchen, if you're building a kitchen in a game, is where the pipes are. Where is the power coming from? Where is the gas coming from? So you'll notice I put this refrigerator in the corner. This refrigerator would not actually be able to exist in this corner because the doors have to have some clearance to be able to open. Yeah, we had 2 fridges in this room. I think it was like this. But also, like, you have to think about like water lines, right? So there's a water line that has to connect to the sink. So in the example I was talking about earlier, aw, thanks, RD. I do the streams because I found out there was someone who was charging like $1,000 a month to teach people level design, and they're not even good at it. Like that was the horrifying part for me, was the idea that someone would spend that much money to learn from someone who's not actually good at it. So I was like, well, if I stream, then at least, you know, I'm not charging anyone anything, but they can learn from me, right? And that idea that you know, even if what I do isn't the best process or the greatest work or whatever, it's still solid, and I know it's solid because I've made a lot of games. But yeah. So you got to think about water lines. You also have to think about power, and you also have to think about gas. So we have a stove that I know is going in here, but you have to think about it because that stove generally has to vent somewhere, and you know there's got to be gas lines and everything. So thinking about how the things have to go into space, and this is why I always joke that learning level design ruins places for people, because you start to notice when people have done janky things, and you're just like, oh, I know why that's like that now. So that was that side. We did have too high. Do this. I've almost memorized the hotkeys. I'm so happy. Okay, and then the cabinets were there. Stove. And then there were so many more cabinets. And the stove did barely fit. It was really funny because you had to be careful you didn't set something too close to it on one of the cabinets. Oh, it was a mess. It was a mess. It was really funny too because it was like clearly like the kitchen had been renovated at some point in the 70s or something like that and had never been touched again. And then at some point when it became a school, it was just like people just kind of threw things around trying to get it to work. Okay. Alright, I know that's where the microwave was in real life, but it's bothering me being right there, so I'm going to move it All right. Gosh, Artie, you talk about being a senior technical designer, and that's really cool. At some of the companies I've worked at, I've done technical design, but it's such a wide-ranging like field, right? Like it's got so many different tasks that a technical designer could be theoretically covering. One day I want to actually do a thing where once I've learned how to edit video, but actually do like interviews with people who do like adjacent design jobs or even other level designers, because like I know Rich Wilson has watched the stream before, and he's such a really cool person, and I'd love to learn more from him. So I think you're gonna go on my list for people I want to one day interview for the stream and everything. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And at Toys for Bob, we didn't have gameplay engineers, so all the level designers had to build all the mechanics that were in the game. That was really the first job I think that I really did technical level design, um, technical game design too. I mean, it was all of the scripting. Okay, all right. It's a little bit over that other one. I don't know that I guess they could overlap a little. Maybe. We'll see. We'll see if future Kim is mad about past Kim doing this. Knuckle down and learn C++. So my husband only knows, he did Android development, and then, he knows blueprints really well. But he knows some other like languages and stuff. But he's also been like, oh, I eventually need to learn C++. And I actually told him, it's probably about 2 months ago now. I was like, one day you're gonna have to go in and you're gonna have to fix something in C++, and you're gonna be real mad because you're gonna realize that you've been avoiding it as a challenging or difficult thing. And how smart he is and how much he knows about like engineering and stuff, he's gonna pick it up so fast. I mean, learning other languages for programming and stuff is a lot like learning other level editors. Once you've learned one, it's so much easier to pick up other ones. You just kind of learn how they work. You learn, the logic of them. I guess it's a lot like languages, right? They always tell you learn French and it makes it easier to learn Italian, that kind of thing. Or you learn Italian, it makes it easier to learn French, Spanish. I did find knowing French made it much easier for me to be able to learn Spanish. Oh yeah, yeah, I believe it. I believe it. Unreal's got to deal with all that stuff, man. They want it to be easy. They do not want it to be hard at Epic. I just realized our movement is a little precise. Our grid is a little precise, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Alright. Let me go ahead and switch you back to 5. Cool. I might delete that one too. Okay. Alright. Gosh, look. We have a nice little kitchen here. Okay. So, one of the things we were talking about, where did my thing go? There it is. So when you're building something and you don't want players to fill things in, you have to be very precise and make sure that you've either put something in that spot or like you very clearly like kind of call attention to it not being correct. Or it not being what the player would expect. So I'm gonna find a coffee pot because I don't want them to fill in a coffee pot, because it matters which coffee pot is in here. Boop. You had to learn French for immigration. Yeah, actually, it was really funny. I just recently applied, whenever I was doing my job search, I had applied to Cloud Chamber. They have a outsourcing level design lead job. They had one. I don't know who got it, but wasn't me. Yeah. So I actually called out in my cover letter. I was like, oh, so by the way, like, I can't really speak it very well. But I understand French. I can listen to it and understand what's being said, and I can read it pretty well. But I was actually like telling them, like, hey, so just so you know, I know a lot of French in case that matters and changes your desire of hiring me. It apparently did not. But that's okay. I can't talk about my current job yet, but as soon as I can, I will, because I'm fucking loving it. Oh, they went full RTO? Oof. Oof. Yeah, they have an office in Nevada, which isn't too far away from here, that I could have gone to, I guess, if they had RTO'd. Okay. Alright, so we put that coffee pot in. We've got the teapot. Actually, I want to move the teapot over onto the stove, because that is where it lived. Alright, cool. You hate hybrid more than full-time in office? Yeah, I agree. That's fair. I super duper hated the second they were like, oh yeah, you guys don't get to keep your desk. Like, you have to, like, hotel desk. And I was like, no thank you. I actually, I demanded that Zynga give me an accommodation of I got to have an assigned desk, because I was like, my ADHD cannot handle. Yeah, everyone's in a call with people offsite anyway. Yeah, exactly. My ADHD cannot handle having a different desk every week. Like, that absolutely just was not possible for me. Okay. Alright, so we've got that stuff. Okay, so over here. Let's see. Cup. So if you think about your home kitchen, right? Most people, obviously we're not talking about everybody, there's a lot of weird people. Most people do not leave all of their stuff sitting around on a counter, right? That's just not how they do it. They'll put it away in a cabinet, right? Like, there's places where things live, and those things live in that place, right? Well, one of the funny things about, offices and schools is that whenever you have these, like, kitchens, things live in weird places, right? So you'll have the collection of coffee mugs, like, right next to the sink, and you'll have, all of that just kind of, like, junked around, because there's no one, there's not a mom, like, no one's gonna clean it up. Yeah, it's pretty true in offices too, although sometimes the office manager is the office mom, which is why you should be very nice to your office managers. I say that, I was telling people on Twitter and stuff, I was like, be nice to your build people, because they solve all of these perforce problems. Okay. So another thing is, most people, if you have, like, coffee cups in your house, oh gosh, that one's got stuff in it, huh? Well, I don't want one with stuff in it. I just want empty ones. If you have coffee cups in your house, they all probably match, right? Whereas, like, if you look at coffee cups in an office, or, in a school or whatever, none of them match. And so, So like really thinking about those kinds of things will make for a much nicer experience. But yeah, there's always like a collection of fucking coffee cups right there. Bill people are the best because you don't. You know, I get perforce, but gosh, I like my husband was asking me something, and I was just like, I don't know. It's called Jenkins at every company though, and he was just like, oh, because he recognized what that meant. I don't understand how build stuff works at all. I have a lot of memories of people who handled, you know, that kind of thing at companies, and it was like, oh, I don't have to. Okay, alright, so, oop, those guys are clipping into the wall. We do not want that. What about you? Are you clipping into the wall? No, okay. Alright, and then, boop. Oh yeah. If they're gonna give me a Lisa Frank thermos, I'm gonna use a Lisa Frank thermos. I will also use a Lisa Frank lunchbox. So I can tell that the... Oh no, it is working now. Interesting. Okay. And you notice I'm kind of janking things around a little bit. You know, an environmental artist would take more time and like be a lot more precise about that kind of thing, which is good. You need that, but I'm not going to be because it doesn't matter that much. Okay. It's just the one closet, right? Yep. Okay, and then I'm gonna put you over here in the corner. Don't need fans. Don't have a dog. Alright, let's go to decor, meshes. So I go to the low poly and not the nanite because I know our stuff is gonna be overloaded. It's gonna be so much stuff. So I know we're gonna want the low poly. We definitely do not want nanite. I can pretty much assure you that no Primate games will ever chase graphical fidelity. It will always be whatever is looks nice, but isn't going to burn people's computers out. I am begging artists to make books different sizes. Wonder why this... Oh, there it goes. Oh, because it's the nanite. Okay. Alright. Yeah, they're in the thing they didn't have their art or their texture on them, so I had to adjust them slightly. Oh gosh, these are super tall books. They will not fit on our shelf. Okay. Okay, so another thing that is really funny when you think about it is the stuff that we use to clutter our homes. I don't know why all of these textures are not showing up in the thing. But you exist as people, and so you tend to put things in your house that are like indicative of you, right? Um, and that's the clutter. That's the like this stuff. Uh, Anytime it's somewhere like a school or something like that, like the clutter gets real weird because it's only stuff people didn't want, right? Um, I wonder if I have some decent candles as like a box of candles. I do not. Okay. Alright. Cool. Okay, so we've made it very clear that it's kind of a school. It's not a normal house, I guess, is really what we're doing there. Alright, now we're just looking through stuff. This is all that old Victorian furniture, which will be very useful for us. Oh yeah, all those janky thick photo frames. Alright, tool shed. Gosh, do I want stuff from the tool shed? Does the motel have anything in check-in that we would care about? Actually, I really think... let's save. Learning from last time. Alright, I think I'm gonna delete these guys. Did those walls move? Or was that always like that? Gosh. Okay. Is it on the back? Oh. We'll have to adjust that, but... and a bell. How's that? That'll work. So the actual answer is the door there was it had like a half door, so you could only have you could have it where like the top half was open and the bottom half was closed, and there was a bell and a sign that sat on it. Oh my gosh, so it was funny. So like I said, we've been building this specific location pretty much based on my memory, because I don't want to say they would say no. I am 90. Where did that step go? That's weird. I am 90% sure if I asked and I was like, hey, can I put your building in a ghost hunting game? They'd be like, no, thank you. Which is valid. Like, that's totally, it's totally legit, right? Like, I understand people not wanting to be, you know, the ghost game or whatever. But, in that case, then we do it as like an homage, like a reference. You know, it's not actually that place. You know, we adjust all the names and hide things just enough to, you know, protect the innocent or the not so innocent in this case. So I'm running under that assumption for this location, so I don't mind if it's not quite perfect. But anyway, so we got my brother, who also worked at the seminary at a couple of points, to check out the game, and we were just showing him the game, and it was really funny because the very first thing he was like, "Yeah, the breaker box not in the basement. It's upstairs." Blah blah blah. And I was just like, ugh, because we had, I didn't know where it was, so we just kind of best guessed it, and our guess was wrong. It was just really funny. It's like, that's not where the breaker box is. Okay. I think what I want to do though, I want to come down here. Oh, that's what's making that look weird. Okay. But I think we can fix that pretty easily, right? Ha ha. Oh, no. It's green. But is that in line with the top? It is in line with the top. It's not sticking out at all. That means my top wall and my bottom wall are not lined up. Okay. Let's go top. Right? That's where it's gonna be. Also, we should probably go ahead and grab these because I bet these are also down there, right? Oh, look at that. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. Doop, doop. Let's switch it to unlit for a second. Ba-doo. Not that one. That one. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright. So we need to bring all of that to match this other wall. So let's go back to top. You see that tiny little gap in the wall? It's crazy. Teeniest, tiniest little gap in the wall. I bet you that's part of what's been messing up all of our lighting down here. You can always tell when there's a gap somewhere because the lighting just goes completely. Okay. Alright. And then, did we not have? We did have one in each room. What is the light strength? 80. Okay, let's change it back to lit. Alright, so now that we've got that, I do think I'm going to move. I'm moving these walls to encase the stairs. I could do it the other way, right? Widen the stairs to encase the wall, or to touch the wall, but I really want these stairs to be super narrow. I want them to feel too small, because I want the player to not want to come down here. That's it. So I bring the wall into the stair, and now it feels like a little jank and weird and annoying. Okay. But I also need to go to top. Scoot this there. Because then it creates the clean line there. Oh, this is a downstairs one, huh? Okay, well let's... Cool, cool. So, you can't tell where I'm looking, but whenever I did that, right, so my widget's way the hell down there, but I'm matching it up over here. So literally, I'm looking at, if you can see my cursor, this bottom corner, and as I'm moving it, I slide, oh, too far. Because you want it to be exactly where the dark yellow line goes dotted, because that means it's touching. And usually, oh, but see, it's not touching. Okay, it was just the angle. But yeah, so that way you don't have little gaps in the walls that then make the light not work properly. Fortunately, this last piece down here is scalable. You'll also notice that's why I go into top-down view a lot, because it's a lot easier to tell where your pieces are at in the top-down. My gosh. Move. Okay. Look, this one's not even lined up. I wonder how many of these are not lined up. What time is it? 3:30. Okay, alright. I have an appointment at 5:30, and I will need to leave here at 5 to make sure I'm getting there on time. So I don't want to forget. ADHD, don't want to forget. These walls were straight. I guess it was just that section. Okay, so then, because it's me, I often do this. I very intelligently had the kind of overflow, like whatever the end piece is one that I've already been scaling, and so I'm not worried about scaling it more. Oh, look at that. Okay. Oh my gosh. Oh, such a weird size. But yeah, there we go. Cool. Alright. Okay, so I actually super duper want to start filling in the basement. Just because I want to. I know we're going to need it, so might as well. So I am literally going to go up here, and I'm going to hit static mesh. And what that does is it sorts every possible static mesh that I could have into a big list. And then I can just scroll down and start looking at stuff and go, oh, this chair is really cool. So we're going to pull it out and we're going to dump it in this basement. Because this basement was filled with just like random crap. And so I'm going to fill it with random crap. What is this? Sure. Let's totally just boop. Let me show collision. Ah, that's why I didn't want to sit on the chair properly. Okay. See, I understand why they did it this way, but theoretically, the chair should be 2 collision boxes. It should be a square one on the back, or a rectangle going up the whole back, and then it should be a cube, kind of over the seat and the legs. This is too complicated for collision. And the first artist we hire will probably get to spend a couple of weeks just fixing all the collision. Okay, boop-a-doo. So I'm just going down. We got some walls, some houses, some generic shapes, some signs. I absolutely want to have this creepy, that's why I have it on the second screen usually. This creepy table, why not? Oh my gosh. One of those old crappy alarm clocks. I love it. I love it. Oh yeah. I totally want to have, we have a couple of these. They're like animal cages, and I absolutely just want to have a couple that are just like down here for no reason. No logic to it. Just enough to make you go, wait a minute. I don't remember seeing any dogs upstairs. Why would you have that be all bumpy instead of just flat? Oh my gosh. Okay. Alright. Probably shouldn't have an arcade cabinet in here, but I think I'm gonna, just because I think it's funny. Oh, maybe we should have one of these rooms. You can only open it on like your subsequent playthroughs. It has a bunch of Easter egg stuff in it. So when I say subsequent playthroughs, I mean like, you've played through the game, you've beaten it, but you come back to visit this level for some reason, and then you just have it in there as like a, haha, here's fun stuff. There were always some really gross old computer chairs down there. Oh yeah. Right by the door was all of these like shelves that had all of this like chemical stuff on it. Which theoretically they all should have been like in a locked cabinet or whatever, but that wasn't how it worked. Oh, an auto battery. Yes. Yes. Random crate. Random stool. Because it's always super creepy, it's always nice to have a baby bed in there somewhere. So one of the things they talk about a lot, in like propping a place or decorating a place is making it internally consistent. But then you can also play with that to kind of, make the player feel uneasy. And so one of the, classic tropes, the shot, is the hallway, the big long hallway with the wheelchair that's empty, right? It's always like kind of like slightly askew, and part of what makes your brain so uncomfortable seeing stuff like that is that your brain knows, like, that's someone's chair, like that's someone's wheelchair, right? Someone should be using that, and clearly no one is. And so there's like that moment of like, well, what's going on? Why is this thing like unused? Why is it sitting here by itself? And um, having those things in a place where you would just be like, that shouldn't be here. Why is it here? Oh, and it's kind of like horrifying a little bit. Is a good way of making the player feel uneasy from the very beginning, right? And you know, in a normal game, I wouldn't say you should make a player feel uneasy, but this is not a normal game. We want the player to feel uneasy, so we'll probably also have a wheelchair. We'll probably also have, you know, creepy dolls and that kind of stuff. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Look at this. It's a pallet bed. It's so creepy. That's from a horror house. Yeah, that sure does make me think of a horror house. Okay. I love it. I love it. Super old, jank bed frame. Yeah. Oh my gosh. How about instead of that clock, we use this one? This horrible old bedside clock. That's the one that everybody had during the like 80s and 90s. I guess it was like a really popular clock or something. Okay. Oops, I moved too far and now everything's in the wrong spot. Okay. I want to put in here this. I will also totally change this thing's collision to not be that complicated. I'm just gonna make it a box. R? Nope. E? Yep. Nope. I should have tilted it first before rotating it. Okay. There we go. Cool. Alright. Like the idea of just like having these giant things of bleach down here and then like going through and like having them in like random places in the level. It's just like, wait, why is there bleach in here? Oh. Oh my god, I should totally put all of these board games in the player start housing. Okay. You know what, I think I'm gonna add those to my toy collection. So I use a collection down here whenever I find things that I really like and I know I'm going to want to use later. I go ahead and add them to my collection so that I can find them easily later. Alright. Bolt cutter sounds amazing. Let's put that over here. Now notice a lot of this is really small items, which aren't great for clutter, right? So they cost a lot and they take up a lot of space. Or they don't take up a lot of space. And you want... There's a mosquito. I whacked him. They don't take up as much space as you'd like them to. So you just gotta keep kind of looking. That's why, we'll talk about merging things, right? Having that merged set of like books. You saw those earlier. Oh my gosh, look at this bust. It's just straight up Napoleon. Spools of cables. Yes. Oh my god, look at this. It's like a rack of batteries. It's clearly some prepper safe house, yeah. Alright, there's a generator. Oh my gosh, that's a big one. I think I'm still gonna keep it, but it is a big one. That is one of those items, though, that might make someone go, wait, how did they get this down here? This wouldn't fit down the stairs. And they're not necessarily wrong. That may be actually true. Actually, I want to... Boop. It takes it a minute to load it in the first time. So as I'm like pulling these things out, it's having to load them to put them in level. Okay. Okay. One of the really regular jokes they make in CIS. It's a TV show. There's a character who builds boats in his basement, and they will, every so often there's another character who will make the comment of like, how does he get it out of his basement? And it's always really funny to me because I know, like, they take out a wall, like they literally take out a wall of the basement, and it's a thing. And but it's super funny because they're always like, how does he get it out of the basement? Okay, so we do want some that do look kind of trashed. Oh yeah, look at that. See, that's big. It fills up a lot of space. Nice low collision. Nice, nice, nice. I like it when I find stuff that's good. Oh, here's a weird suitcase. Cool. Definitely gonna need more tables. I absolutely want this old jank cash register in here somewhere. I know what I can do. Alright. So what that does, what I'm doing there with that camera thing, right? So remember how I said, like, oh, wouldn't it be neat if we had a door, the door only opens and, like, when you return as a player, like, you come back here the second time and you figure out the puzzle and you can open the door and you get all this, you know, Easter egg stuff, right? So you're rewarding the player for returning and exploring and solving the puzzle with a room full of cool stuff they can play with. Um, by putting a camera on the wall outside that door, we can have that kind of almost, you're almost tipping the player off that there's something interesting behind this door. They might want to know, like, where does the camera go? Like, what is it hooked up to? That kind of thing. And so, by putting that in now, like, you're kind of setting out those breadcrumbs later for players. So, yeah, it's a neat thing. Oh my gosh. Yes, we should absolutely just have a weird, random, human-sized cage. That would be great. I love making creepy games. But not like scary games. Creepy games. Let's see. Chainsaw should absolutely be down here. Folding chair. I wonder if they have a folded up folding chair. Oh, they do! Yes! Awesome. Terrible collision, but awesome. Okay, so I'm going to... Can I just make a copy instead? Edit. Screw it, it doesn't matter. Let's remove collision. Let's show collision. Box simplify collision. Save. That collision was absurd. Yeah, having these though is really nice because then we can do this. Yeah, because this is kind of the end of the basement. We can do this and literally just have a huge stack of chairs back here. So I copy a couple of them out and then select a whole bunch, duplicate them. Okay. Gosh, there would be like 100 of these things here. I don't think we will have 100. Let's not move them. Cool. Right. Actually, you know what? I should take the just take this front stack here. Cool. I think I'm gonna put the dog cage back in here. Alright. Okay. Alright, cool. So I just kinda keep sliding along here. Oh, these horrible, horrible metal chairs. My grandmother used to have them on her front porch. stinky vending machine. Oh no! Whoops. Window. Content browser. Come back. I didn't mean it. We were at coin, so we were at C's. I don't need ceiling fan. Oh my god. Alright, let's keep going. Okay, there's the coin machine. There's a baby changing table. Alright, I think I'm gonna put you in here. When you think about like basements and attics, it's always like stuff that the person doesn't want to use, but they don't want to get rid of necessarily, right? So they're often these like just kind of dumping grounds for random stuff. A bunch of this stuff has lost its textures. A lot of this is a little too precise for us, too small kind of thing. Mop, broom, bucket again. See, like, but a grandfather clock wouldn't make sense down here because, you know, that's something they would care about, they would use, you know. Coat hanger. Coat hangers with like coats or hats and stuff on them are actually really, really cool, especially for something like this where you want the player to be jumping at shadows. So having it where, you know, there's a coat with coat hanger, you know, coat hanging on a coat hanger in the background, like if the player's moving real quick, they might see that and assume it's more real than it actually is. Oh, I didn't even tell you guys about the cool thing yet. I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm gonna wait. Let's see. Air compressor is definitely a thing that would have been down here. We're eventually gonna find some old shitty desks, so I think I want to put one or two of these down just for the old shitty desks. There's the ones that don't have the thing. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, concrete floor, concrete hatch. Neat. Water cooler. Boop. Let's see. Oh, that's the bathroom. Okay, let's go. Eventually, when we find the water bottle, we should bring that. just remembered what this office was. This is not an office. This is the copy room. I just remembered. It's the copy room. This tiny little nightmare spot. I love it. Okay. But I found the cooler, and I want to put the cooler in the basement. Cool. Alright. Corn dogs. Oh my gosh, cornflakes. Yeah. Okay, back to the basement. I definitely want one of these super gross old couches down here. There were a couple, if I remember correctly. Great. Don't care about curtains down here. It's basement. There's no... Ooh. That actually goes in this room. In the attic. This was the server room. Ooh. Okay. Let's bring that in here. Ooh. Turn my camera, not the desk. Over there. Okay. I'm just dumping a bunch of the stuff in here, and then we can fix it later. Make it look good later. That's kind of what I'm doing. I do want a couple of these. They're the same, kind of like implying that, like, oh yeah, we replaced a bunch of these desks at one point. But they didn't want to get rid of it, so they didn't throw it away. It's actually, he was down here digging, the guy that was like our facilities person, I guess, was actually down in the basement one time digging and found the box of all of the old handles and doorknobs that they had like removed from the house at some point, and so like he went through and like replaced all of them and made a big deal about replacing all of them. Put this, okay. I'm gonna put this door here. Even though it's not gonna work yet, because I want it to go there. I want there to be a door there. Oh my gosh, look, there's metal ones too. Sweet. What the fuck is is going on with their collision? Oh my gosh. Did they try to not collide the doorknob? That's ridiculous. Okay, that's fine. It's fine. Okay, so there's that. We're not going to use any of those. Lots of doors. I'm actually very happy about all the doors. I will be using a bunch of them later. But I also want to have our doors open. But I want our doors to the player has to interact with them to open them. But then they would also have to interact with them to close them again. Because I very much want, if the player feels more comfortable with having all of the doors open, I want that to be a thing. But then also I want to be able to close the doors have the ghosts close the doors, right? And so then it's like, oh, they're just, walking around or whatever, and then all of a sudden they come back and they're like, wait, that door was open. Oh, kind of thing. Dumpster. It's always a globe, right? In all these old junk rooms, always globe. Oh yeah, that one's way better. More. Eames chair. I only know that those are called Eames chairs because of Repair Shop. It's a TV show I've watched quite a lot. If you haven't watched Repair Shop and you are at all like a maker type person, you should watch Repair Shop because it is really cool. Oh no, I don't want the nanite one. No. I want the other one. It's like right above it. I want this one. Nanite is great, don't get me wrong, but it is very expensive sometimes, and I don't want to have to deal with it. Okay. A school in the South, we always had like dozens of these box fans that we could carry around to people's offices when they'd start complaining about it being too warm or whatever. Oh my gosh. Okay. Why would you... Never mind. I was having the thought of, why would you model the floor? That seems completely... And then I remembered it's asset packs. That's why they would model the floor. Fog machine. Heck yeah. There's a different folding chair. Folding table. Yes. Okay. I'm really excited about the folding table because it means that I can use it pretty much everywhere, right? Like, so a folding table is really common. So having a bunch of them and being able to put a bunch of them in a bunch of different places is really cool. Sure. Not big enough for a forklift. Ooh, that fountain though. Can go right out here. Free container. Ooh, free containers. Game consoles. I love it. Oh, they don't have it. Oh, they do have it merged. There it is. is what we're going to want over here. Boom. Never underestimate the power of a good garage shelf. Super old gramophone things in here. Ooh. Look at this, guys. This is so funny. Okay, let's scale it up. So it's... Oh, why did it mess up its texture? Oh. Well, you can totally tell. That's a pot plant. I love it. This is one of the asset packs we got. But they have a greenhouse, and clearly it's pot plants. Okay, I'm gonna have this in here because it's creepy. Okay. Grinder. One day, I will figure out why some of our asset packs have just completely lost all of their textures. That's probably not today, though. Definitely want the guitar, but then I also want an empty guitar case somewhere. Nice, nice. It's a creepy clown face. I love it. You know, though, I don't think I'm gonna use this. I don't think I like this very much. Although I do like this light, so I think I'll put one out just to draw attention to it, and maybe we will get a ghost version. Oh my gosh, look at the collision on that thing. Come on, guys. That's absurd. It should be a square, or at worst, a very low poly sphere around it. those. Oh my gosh. A hot dog station. That's so funny. A mine? Do you want to claim more? Okay. We reasonably could have a jigsaw down here. How bad does that look? Oh, that actually looks pretty good. Jeez, that scale is off though. Wow, that thing is like twice as big as it should be. Yeah, there we go. That's much better. Kettles. Oh, there it is. Alright. Oh. Alright, and then, oh, I actually do want to do that thing. Oh my god, that knife is huge. Look how big it is. It's like bigger than the counter. Yeah, it's not from the same pack. That's also one of the reasons I'm really excited about that one, the Dacon Daikogan set, is because with all of them coming from the same company, they're probably all within scale of each other, right? So they're at least internally consistent. And so the idea then being is that it makes it very easy for me. I can just play with stuff instead of having to worry about its scale, right? Cool. If we're not already, I want one of these with our stuff. I'm pulling some of these out because I don't know that they've been turned into haunted objects, and so because I know I want them to count as the other lighting, we may have to do some finagling to make it work. Well, it just means we need to copy some stuff around. Okay. Oh, it's that thing. I love that light. That light's in House Flipper. Okay. Yes. Creepy lawn chair. Go. I'm also really excited about adding in all of the new packs that we've gotten. Okay, but I'm gonna go back up to this room. Oink. Oink. So that we had one of those, it was like too wide and slots, and you just slot them up the holder for them. That was what we had at this office. Metal lunchbox. Love it, love it. There she is. The piece de resistance. Kim, you were on the right one. Why did you keep clicking? Alright. Mesh fence. We don't really need any of that. Metal tables are always super creepy. Actually, I think I'm going to switch out our microwave too, because I like this one a lot better. Doop. It's just cute. It's actually that that teal, that like old school teal color. I have a bunch of kitchen appliances that are that color now. Let's see. Old monitor. That might be interesting. My gosh. Oh, heck yeah. It's a Bible. I'm actually going to pull one out and set it out here, because I'm going to have a bunch of those eventually. It does fix itself. Do I want any of those? We didn't really have taxidermy. Mushrooms. Old shipping crate. Love it. Super old TV. Oh my gosh, there's outhouses. I used to play D&D with this guy. He was a really nice guy, but his stepdad? I think it was his stepdad. Collected outhouses. Like, had like 30 of them in his backyard. Collected outhouses. It was the weirdest thing. And it was so funny because every time, like, someone would find out, they'd be like, why? And my friend would just be like, who knows? Like, because he had no idea. Like, he didn't understand it either. And it was just like, who knows? That's just this thing. That's what he collects. Okay. It is always really funny to just have, like, random old busted telephones in places. With Ghost Game, if they're not plugged in, like they're, it's just like a random telephone sitting there, like we could absolutely do the thing where they like ring if the player isn't in the room with them. I think I already I'm pretty sure I already put a piano upstairs. Oh, pinball machine. I love pinball machines. I love the Addams Family one. I love there's a Star Wars one. It's so good. Gosh. I'm going to heavily imply that people brought their pizza. Plants do not belong in the basement. So I like to refer to this part of the process as building your toolbox, right? So it's the idea is that you're just going through and you're seeing everything you've got, right? So this is all we've got currently. What can we do with what we've got, right? And so you just kind of dig through and you find all the stuff that's like, okay, this will do, this will be interesting, and we can use it. And so you're just dragging it out and dumping it into the level. It helps you identify stuff that isn't going to work, seeing it in scale with other things, but it also gives you a whole bunch of kind of ideas to then build off of. I know a lot of video games will have what's called it's different names at different companies, but it's kind of the same idea as you'll have just like a room, a level, and they'll sometimes call it the scale level, but the idea being is that you can just go through and like look at all of these items in scale with each other. Come on, up here. I want you up here. Wow, I sure did just put one down there. Even though I didn't tell it to. Okay. But, I was saying, pulling them all out like this makes you really aware of what all you've got. And then, like, you can look at things in comparison to each other. And really pick the best things, the things that fit the best for this level. I was saying, sorry, at game companies, they'll have like the scale level, and you can go in, you're literally just walking around all of the stuff just sitting there, right? Like it's all there, you can look at it and see how it feels next to the character. And that's always really fun, having that level and going and looking through it. I think I want to have... So I was just thinking it'd actually be really cool if, so you find this extra kind of room, right? And then as part of, discovering this extra room that's in here, it then unlocks something for your, like, home base, right? So the idea of, like, because we want the player to be able to customize their home base, and so that idea of being like, if you explore this place, you might find cool stuff, and then you might be able to use that cool stuff to do, make your base look more like you want it to look like, which is always fun. Safety first, everybody. Wear your respirators. Oh, yeah. Different colored cooler. That's nice. Oh, one of those old janky radios. Don't really need bathroom stuff. I'm absolutely going to dump one of these old cell phones in here, though. My mom had one of those. What do we have? 420? Okay. So I'll probably get the rest of the stuff dumped in here, but I won't get any of it cleaned up and made pretty. But also next time I will have had time to add in a bunch of the other asset packs that we have now gotten. Rugs, which we're not going to use down here. Oh, I absolutely want a safe down here. Absolutely. I don't know which one, but I'm going to set them both down just in case. Sander. Saw. Scanner. Scanner goes. I can't believe I forgot that this was the office supply room. Actually, I can. I haven't been in this building in like 10 years. Oh. There's a different shelf. I wonder if it's any better. Shooter game. Look at it. It's got like the whole console and everything. I'll talk a lot about, as I talk about level design and everything, I talk a lot about context, right? And the idea that the context that something is in matters, right? And I just talk a lot about understanding the entire game so that you're building a level that works in the context of the game, right? So I always end up being the person at a company that asks all these really awkward questions of being like, well, how does it work with this, and how does it work with that, and how does what are the laws of this world? What are the rules that matter? And part of that is just to understand everything, and then be able to make levels that are targeting and like really like catering to that design. But also, one of the other aspects of that is things kind of change their tone in context. So an example of this would be, you think about a shovel, right? A shovel by itself is not, it's not very spooky, it's not very concerning, right? It's a shovel. But if you see a shovel next to muddy boots, next to a blue tarp, um, you know, there's kind of this point where the shovel stops. You stop registering it as a tool, an object, something that you would pick up and use, and you start registering it as somebody buried a body, right? And it's really funny because it doesn't take that long to get to that point. It doesn't take very much being added to the context to sell the the understanding of it being, there isn't a urinal in this bathroom, but I think there is in one of the other ones. So I'm going to pull the urinal out and put it in here, even though it doesn't belong in here. But yeah, I was saying like the context of something matters, right? So having that context of all of the other stuff with the shovel is what makes it seem like, oh god, they buried a body, right? It's not the things themselves, it's the context. So for me, that's one of those really, kind of interesting things of, can I tell the story through the context? Um, and the answer is usually yes. It is usually very easy to tell the story through context. Uh, you just have to kind of lean on those tropes, which is fine. Everybody always acts like tropes are just like horrible and awful and you should never use them. And it's like, well, tropes are kind of a shorthand, right? Like they make it really easy for um, people to speak to each other, like even around cultures and stuff like that. Words are hard. Okay. Ooh, strollers. Strollers are so creepy when they're by themselves. I do want a bunch of suitcases in here. Because suitcases are really easy to just get a whole bunch of. They've all got, well, these don't, but they usually have really simple collision, um, and it makes it really easy to have a bunch of stuff kind of filling space. Alright, I do want to look at a couple of these open ones. Oh, they just have clothes in them. Look at them. Being all normal. Oh my gosh. Look at the swords. Okay. Tables, tables, tables. Chairs. I don't know if I need any more tables and chairs. So, I've dumped all this stuff in here. I'm going to do some rearranging, obviously, to get everything to kind of look better and set up some of those context stories, right? So the idea of having, the shovel next to some muddy boots, that kind of thing. So that's what we'll be doing next time, is really setting up some of those little kind of scene stories. Um, but oh man, these TVs look so old and jank. I love it. Uh, but then you know, when I get done with having everything, kind of set up and all the little scene stories and everything done, there will still be space, right? Like this isn't enough stuff to fill this basement with as much as I want. So that's when I come in and I do the big stuff. Like I'll copy around more of the chairs and I'll copy around more of the tables, and that kind of thing. So you fill in that space. Tortoise? Playground stuff. Oh yeah, because I did totally bring in a bunch of the kids' toys. Oh, look at the little shark. I actually very specifically got the kids' toys because, one way to make something very creepy without actually making it creepy, right? Because I don't want blood, I don't want guts, I don't want gore, kind of thing. But I want to make things creepy, and having things that are not where they belong is one of those things that kind of can trigger people's like feeling creepy. So having a bunch of toys that are very clearly like children's toys scattered around this location that is very clearly not a location that should have children in it, right? You have that moment of going, wait, this doesn't belong here, and it makes it kind of creepy. So I really like that, having those. Which is why I grabbed them. I want the typewriter, but I don't think I want the typewriter in the basement. Oh, I should put the typewriter in the attic. Okay. Urns. Old vacuum cleaners. Oh my gosh, it's a voodoo doll. Yep, let's go ahead and see how many. Oh, that's the nanite one. I don't want that one. Okay. I will almost certainly at some point need to make a whole bunch of crosses for decoration. Yeah, all of these walls, like, I mean, I understand why people build their wall mesh like that, but it's not really useful unless you're building that exact location. It doesn't, it's not helpful to have that. Water collector. I'm gonna have to fix that collision too. That's crazy amount of collision for that item. It's ridiculous. I could see a reasonable argument for like having it be slightly complicated collision so that you can create the angle of the thing, but that's too much. It's entirely too much. Work lights, those are really common. Oh my gosh. Lots of musical instruments. Oh, neat. It's the Vive controller. Alright, cool. So that's a bunch of stuff in here to start decorating with. Start really figuring out what we have, what we need, you know, that kind of thing. Alright. What we need to, you know, edit, right? So if I want to be able to open the safe, like we'll have to add the blueprint in. You know, also, you know, part of Ghost Game, the thing that is interesting and exciting for me is being able to go in and like pick things up and look at them and see what it says. And so, you know, we've got that, and we'll have to figure out like what the items are, right, that you can pick up and you can interact with, right? So paper is probably going to be a big one. But yeah, we're gonna fix the collision on a lot of this stuff because like this is insane. You should never have this much collision. So if we go show collision, I mean, I guess the simple collision isn't too bad. Can we tell it to use the simple collision? Yeah, so that's how we want to have it. We want to use the simple collision as the complex collision. Like, we don't want it to have complex collision because it doesn't need it. It's one of the beauties of making such a simplistic game. We don't have to worry about all of those crazy collision interactions. So yeah, so we've dumped a whole bunch of stuff in here. We will be able to come back and make it all really cool later. I'm gonna, hopefully I want to make the ball where you can actually like roll it around. It requires physics, but we can set it where, you know, it only does certain kind of physics. It's not like really, wouldn't be like Half-Life or anything like that. But yeah, I can like really take all this stuff now that we've dumped in here and move it around and adjust it and really make it feel like a real place with lots of like weird things in it. As opposed to right now where it's, you know, this really weird place with a lot of things in it that aren't where they belong. I am gonna bump up the lighting though, because boy, even without, let's turn off the collision. Even without it being right, like it's starting to look more correct, right? Because there's more stuff. It's not just me, right? It looks like that wall doesn't meet the bottom. Maybe I can see it better from the back. Where's the wall? Oh no, that's very clearly down inside of it. Okay. Yeah. But look, because like, sure is messing with my brain. The way that looks. Let's go back to lit. See, like, I'll have to figure out what's causing that to happen and stop it. Because we do not want that to happen. We don't want light leaking out. My gosh, the water coolers. So I said something earlier about putting the Bible out because I was going to make sure it was in a bunch of different places. And I straight up want to have every Bible be haunted. Alright, well thank you for joining me today. Thanks Artie for chatting. I hope you all have a great weekend. We'll be back next week. There will probably be I was gonna say there will probably be more stuff because we're gonna add in all of our new stuff packs, but then we're also getting pretty close to having an actual working demo running. And as soon as we have our working demo running, we're going to be submitting this to a bunch of places to see if we can get some more money, which will be cool. To be clear, more money means we get to hire people to help us work on it and get it more polished, more into the like single A or double A space. Whereas if we don't get more money, we will just keep working on it with just the two of us, and eventually we will ship it. Of course, then it's solidly indie, right? Like, but yeah. Anyway, thanks everybody, and I hope you have a great weekend. Bye.